Is it imposter syndrome, or might it be something else? So I think I hear a lot of people talking about imposter syndrome, and I don't think it's that useful a term, especially for recovering perfectionists, because I think it masks a whole bunch of other things that might be going on. So that's not to discount the fact that you might have this sense of like, oh, I'm a fraud, or people are going to find out that I'm not as good as I think I am, or as good as I've said I am. I want to kind of acknowledge that is a genuine experience. But I want to explore whether maybe it comes from a couple of different places. And so one thing that I notice, especially for recovering perfectionists who perhaps have this flavour of overachieving or overstriving, and that is this sense of no matter how good you are, it is never going to be good enough. And so this sense of these unrealistic expectations that we place on ourselves. Like, well, I couldn't possibly be any good at this. I couldn't possibly describe myself as an expert or to think I have expertise in this area unless I have, I don't know, a PhD, 5 books, a really successful podcast. Right? We kind of set these like really high bar for ourselves. And so if we're falling short of that bar, which quite frankly most of us are, and I would suggest that even if you are somebody who has a PhD, 5 books and a really successful podcast, you still might be feeling this. If we were setting this sort of like really high bar, then of course we're going to feel like we're not matching it. And so of course we're going to be scared that people are going to find us out somehow, that I'm faking it, I'm an imposter. So the first thing I'd really encourage you to do is interrogate the expectations that you set for yourself. And some expectations I think are a really healthy thing. So there's something about imposter syndrome that also talks to a genuine recognition in ourselves that I'm not as skilled in this thing that I'm doing as I would like to be. I remember when somebody first asked me like a year ago, did I provide kind of like mentoring and training and facilitation skills? I was like, I couldn't possibly. I've not been doing this for long enough. And can be a flavour of what we call imposter syndrome there, but also it felt like a really healthy question to be asking myself of, am I qualified enough for this? Am I experienced enough for this? I ended up, after consulting with a couple of mentors and things on my own, deciding, yes, I think maybe I am. And I've had this wonderful year and continue to mentor people into next year. But I think there's something really healthy about asking that question. Because sometimes the answer is, actually, no, I'm not. I'm not ready. Not because I'm not good enough, but because the standards particularly the standards to teach something to somebody else, I think should be high. So there's some nuance here, right? Between, am I setting completely unrealistic expectations for myself? And given, where do I think the expectations should be? And do I think I genuinely meet them? And I don't think it's imposter syndrome to say, actually, right now, no, I do need to reskill or upskill. And what I really like about this is it feels re-empowering. Because there's something about imposter syndrome that has me feel like a little bit in collapse, like I'm kind of a passive actor, that like I'm just waiting for somebody to find me out. Whereas for either of these nuances that I've described, I can do something about that. I can either get much more clear about the expectations I have of myself, and what success looks like, what good enough looks like in this particular area. Or if I can be really honest with myself and say, actually, you know what, I would like to be a better writer, or I would like to get better at interviewing people, whatever the skill set is, then I can identify something really clear that I can do about it. Yeah, maybe I do want to go on a course, or work with a mentor, or engage in some kind of deliberate practice to improve my skills. And I really like that. I like the switch from something that feels like this little bit of collapse, or I'm just not good enough and somebody's going to find me out, to something that feels more in my equanimity, that has the dignity to say, yes, I do have skills here, and I have agency to go and continue to develop them. And I can also be in my humility in that equanimity to say, I'm not perfect, that I'm good enough and I want to develop. Like, it gets to be both. And I know that place can be hard for us recovering perfectionists, because we do tend to either be in this collapse, I'm just not good enough, or we then overcompensate by kind of stepping into posture and the bravado and just kind of like puffing ourselves up, which also feels like imposter syndrome. Yeah, it also has this quality underneath of like, somebody's going to find me out because I'm faking it. So I'm really curious for you how you might bring yourself into equanimity around your skills by being in your dignity and noticing where you have skills and perhaps where you are imposing unrealistic expectations on yourself, and also to be in your humility and recognize that you are still developing and learning, and maybe you would like to be more skilled. Maybe it would be healthy for you and healthy for the people that you work with to develop your skills in a particular area. So I'd love to hear what you think about this. Whether this resonates with your experience at all. If you have questions or reflections, please share them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.